how to launch your own high ticket program. What's up guys, my name is Jamie, and in this video I'm going to be covering the steps I recently went through to launch a high ticket coaching offer that sold around about 30 odd spots, brought in around about $40-ish thousand worth of revenue in around about 8 or 9 days. Now the reason why I'm sounding really vague with that is because time has been just warped. I cannot remember if it was 10 days or 9 days or 8 days. Anyway, it closed off and we brought in about 40K worth of revenue plus a few grand of extra recurring revenue over the next few months as well. Now, before I dive into that though, if this is the first time on the channel, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. My name is Jamie Gardiner. I'm a full-time affiliate marketer and coach. And what I do on this channel is really just documenting the last 10 years I've been online. I've done a bunch of stuff and tried and failed at a whole lot of stuff, and yeah, if that's of interest to yourself, I try to offer a little bit of value from the trenches and what I've learned along the way. So feel free to hit the subscribe button and stay up to date with everything I'm putting out. Anyway, all that being said, so we clocked up around about 40K, like I say. It was a pretty good launch, a little bit of a slow burn to start with, which is often the case with these things. And yeah, I'm going to break down some of the numbers, how it all came to fruition, and what you can take away. Like I say, if you're a coach, info product creator, or an affiliate, there's still some principles here you can use in your business as well. So in the beginning, let's go right back to the early stages. I was fortunate enough to basically have a conversation with two absolutely amazing coaches who, funnily enough, had come through our program. That's the Super Affiliate Accelerator, where we won the award for. And they'd come through our program and they both had tons of success in their own businesses, both as affiliates, and then set up their own program and were absolutely dominating with that. So I was absolutely honored when we had that conversation and we wanted to do some sort of JV together. Now that was something that was sort of, the conversation was massaged for a little while until eventually we're like, all right, listen, crunch time, let's hop on a Zoom call, see if we can map this thing out and go from there. So we spent around about 2 hours kind of going through a couple of ideas, spitballing what it's going to look like, what we're going to combine, you know, how the financial stuff is going to work out, all that type of stuff. And then pretty much we got to work. And so the key elements of these things, and this is sort of the takeaway for anyone that is watching and what you probably can apply to your own business as well, is if you're thinking about doing this type of stuff, I guess the key thing in particular is creating a really badass offer. It needs to be something that has a disproportionate amount of value compared to the actual entry fee itself. Number one, needs to massively solve the pain problems for your audience as well. And you also want to have a decent sized audience in order to do this. Although I have seen this work in very small audiences. I know some of my students have been able to do very similar things with having only 30 to 40 people in their audience. So it doesn't necessarily need to be large, but you do have a need to have a good amount of goodwill and equity in that audience in order to make this come to life, right? So with those kind of things in place, here's sort of how the whole thing went down. So once you work out on what is the major outcome you're hoping to achieve at the end of it, or people achieve by going through this particular thing, next what you want to do is ideally set a hard deadline. So for us, we set, I think it was like, I can't even remember, it was the end of July, right? But I don't know if it was like, we started talking about this on the 18th and then we started selling by the 20th, or anyway, semantics. The point being is that we set a hard deadline. If you're following suit, what you ideally want to do is give yourself a runway of sort of 10 to 14 days, a little bit longer, really depends on how much hype you're trying to build into the launch phase itself. And effectively what you want to do at that point is set that hard deadline, start mapping out the things that you're going to need in place in order to bring this to fruition. Something that I like to call creating your own economic environment. What you can do is basically cap out the available spots. And so we went for an initial 20 and ended up selling a little bit more. And that's not because we were trying to be disingenuous with that, quite simply because what happens at a launch phase, especially that last 12 hours, is people just jump in, right? And so yes, we did have a hard cap at 20, but once it started reaching that, obviously, you know, the cart closed in the last 12 hours and a whole bunch of people jumped in, right? Just kind of way that launches sometimes end up going down. Anyway, with all that being said, you are able to create your own economic environment by capping out the numbers. Now, this could mean if you've got, say, 50 people in your audience, you might basically only have like 5 spots available. If you've got 5,000, you might have 500, for example. Hopefully that is making sense there. Pair that with the actual time decay. now you've got like a pretty brutal force in order to start driving sales. So here's how the whole thing comes together. You set that hard deadline, you cap out the numbers, you create a really, really badass offer, and like I say, it needs to be a disproportionate amount of value for the actual entry fee to jump into the opportunity. So in the interest of transparency, it was combining access to my products called the Ultimate Marketing Mastermind. It's where I teach people how to monetize very, very tiny audiences through the use of Facebook groups, both with organic stuff and I guess at some point I'm probably going to add advertising things onto that as well, although it's not quite there just at this point. So that's what I teach, that's what I specialize in with my students. Also got access to something called Group Juice, which was the program that both Flip Moss and Nate Ryan, the two gentlemen I teamed up with, had created, and that basically shows how to get tons of traffic into their group and how to monetize as well. So it's an absolutely incredible program for that as well. To get two high ticket programs, these sell for $2,700 and $1,000 on their own respectively. We also decided, let's add in some coaching. Let's actually help people through this pathway. So we also added 8 weeks of additional coaching on top of those two incredible opportunities for people as well. And normally, I'm charging $4.97 per hour at the moment, so it is an absolute bargain for people to be able to get into that coaching opportunity. And obviously, we package that into a Google Doc. People can just read through that, nice little cart page, jump in if they want to hop into that as well. So we do also have a payment plan, 3 times $600, just for interest of transparency. Right, so with all that being said, then the next part is, now we've got our offer sitting there, we've got our hard deadline, we've got the capped out numbers, and then it's quite simply just a matter of putting it out there. And so one of the reasons why these things tend to sell really well is because if you have goodwill and good equity within your audience, it's about creating a sense of energy around that type of launch. And so the cool thing about these is you don't necessarily need to have an existing product, by the way. You can do that with just a coaching opportunity, and you might want to start with a beta price, something that's a little bit lower than what you anticipate the end price to be. And what it's going to do is allow you to fill those spots pretty easily, allow you to, especially if you've got like a handful of them, provide a ton of value, ton of I guess goodwill within those people that do decide to jump in, and then you're going to have some ambassadors and some fans of your stuff and what they've been able to achieve since jumping into your program, right? So it doesn't need to be an existing program, is what my point was. Right, so hard deadline, cap out the numbers, amazing offer. Next part about it is really just to start putting it out there. And a couple of things that you might want to consider is think about reasons why people wouldn't jump into this offer, right? And the reason why I say that is because if you can perceive that there might be some objections along the way, you ideally want to start breaking those down in your content, right? So you can actually start mapping out. You might have like 3 or 4 major objections, and somewhere in the middle there, you might want to start to address those along the way. You also want to do things to basically create a sense of exclusivity. And the way that you might do that is doing things like rewarding first movers, so first mover advantage, for example, having additional bonuses for those folks. You might have some recognition. Humans absolutely love recognition. And so therefore, if you can start to celebrate the people that do decide to jump in, what that's going to do is create a sense of euphoria. The other thing as well is that if you've got a capped out number and you're continually celebrating, hey, blah, blah, blah jumped in, blah, blah, blah jumped in, congratulations, yada, yada, for jumping into this thing, then what it does is then create a sense of FOMO, a sense of exclusivity, a sense of scarcity, because they can actually see, okay, well, there's more people that have jumped into this, so I better act quick and we're going to jump in. Also has the further effect of providing social proof. Humans we're a weird breed, but we like it when we don't have to make that initial decision ourselves. And so therefore, if we can see that other people have jumped in, we're not going to feel like we're the only one there, we're the only one that's going to do this thing and jump into the stuff, right? And so therefore, you can start to leverage that massively for your own audience, and that actually helps with the sales process as well. So on top of that, it really is just a matter of putting out a ton of content related to this. Keep marketing the fact that the deadline's coming up, that you're going to get 8 weeks of coaching, that you're going to get 2 amazing high ticket products. If you want to get into, I guess, how to actually pre-sell people, then what you might want to do is also consider, I guess, the actual process that you plan on taking people through. So for our programs, it's all related to Facebook groups and monetization. So effectively we'd go through, hey, get your offer sorted. This is how you set up your group. This is how you start getting leads coming through. This is an organic way that you can do this through Facebook itself. Here's another way through short form video that you can do this as well. Bang, get it all together. And so then if you're able to describe that, people can go, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Hence why it's probably quite a good deal if I even just check it out, right? And so then you hopefully get a couple of early adopters that do decide to jump into your opportunity. And if not, don't fret. Like, this is kind of how the whole thing goes, right? And so what you can do is you can actually start to be quite malleable with the offer. And so what that means is that if you realize, all right, I've got like literally hardly anyone seems to be interested, you can actually just create your own economic status. And like I said before, you might have like 5 if you've got 100 people in your audience. You might have 10 if you've got 200 or whatever. However, what you can do is then start to go, okay, well, clearly it's not working, it's not scarce enough, it's not exclusive enough. So what can you do? Maybe cap out the numbers even smaller. And it's not to say, oh, look at me, I've sold an extra three spots all of a sudden. What you are effectively doing is basically saying, okay, well, actually there's only 5 spots left. Right, and it's not that you're saying, oh, I've sold 5, and so now there's only 5 left. It's just, cool, 5 spots remain, who wants them? And so therefore people can start to see that, okay, it is actually quite scarce, they need to move to get into this, right? So the trick with this one is the last kind of 36 to 24 hours. Ideally what you want to do is have a bit of content that goes out pretty much every day. It can be differing for different parts of your ecosystem. So for me, I was putting out slightly different content from my profile to my Facebook group to my email list as well, right? So it means I was attacking from multiple angles. Also put up some stories, also put up some reels, so on and so forth. So it was a bit of a content machine during this process, which keeps just advertising it and keeps hammering home that deadline and the capped out numbers. And especially if you've got a few early adopters, you can say, okay, well, like 17 spots left, 5 spots left, so on and so forth, right? Which again helps with that urgency and scarcity along the way. So then last 24 hours, now what you want to do is ideally really ramp home the content, really hammer home the idea of the exclusivity, of the scarcity factor of this. And the way to do that quite simply is just more content. And so quite simply you go 24 hours, hey, final reminder, 24 hours left to hop into this amazing thing. 12 hours left, hey, just letting you know that you got 12 hours to jump into this thing. 6 hours, hey, final chance, you got 6 hours left. And then 1 hour, and then if you want to get really aggressive, you can do like 30 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that as well. Now, that might feel really foreign for most people. It might feel like massive overkill, but it is what works. It creates a sort of pressure cooker environment for people, and that is where the bulk of your sales are going to come from, is that last sort of 24 to 12 hour stretch, right, of these things. So then the trick is, once you close down the cart page, all that type of stuff, and so the accounting, we cash, all that type of stuff. No, I was kidding. Then basically what you want to do off the back of that is effectively look the heck after your people, right? So put them in a group or community of some kind, you nurture them, you give them some sort of homework, you help to get them involved in the actual process itself. The way that you might do that is encourage things like lives and participation, all that type of stuff, and really create a sense of community while they're there, because that is what is going to help drive the opportunity moving forward. Should you roll it into an evergreen opportunity, or at least hopefully get the bulk of them to get some incredible results during that 8-week stretch, right? And actually glue them into that process. So a lot of the time, people buy stuff and it releases all their dopamine, all that type of stuff, and they get their receptors firing, and they're like happy, and this is exciting, and all the excitement is there, and then the reality starts to climb in, basically, and it basically, that's when the hard work starts. And a lot of people, that's when they sort of just shy away from actually doing stuff. So your job as a product vendor is to glue them into that process, anchor them into it, tell them why they're there, to get them to declare their goals, get them to declare why they want to be part of this thing and what they're aiming to achieve as a result of it, which is really, really powerful from a psychological perspective for them, because a public declaration of going forward and achieving something is a massive way to anchor them into the process. Not for selfish reasons. I mean, selfish reasons because you want them to get results, because the more results they can get, the better your program is going to be at the end of the day, all that type of stuff as well. But also because you don't want them just to give you a bunch of cash and then do nothing with it. It's absolutely completely pointless, and it's a way to tie them into actually executing along the way. So that's it, and then the rest of it is relatively malleable. You know, the coaching calls, all that type of stuff. You can re-record them. You can jump on in different time zones. You can do extra things to make sure that people are happy along the way. You can over-deliver as much as you can. Get some testimonials early on in the piece if you can. If people start to get some wins along the way, you really want to start to extract that from folks. Hey, how'd you get on? Cool, you made a sale already. Awesome, tell us about it. Great. So then you got social proof. It then means that the whole thing is now starting to get a little bit more traction. It's not just you like selling it yourself. Hopefully other people are starting to sing the praises of the experience that they've had in there. And that's it. And then you can wrap it up into an evergreen product and sell it through a nice page or a call funnel or a Google Doc or a Messenger or a YouTube channel, whatever you want. And that's it. So hopefully this helps a couple of you guys out. It's pretty much what we did in order to crack that 40K mark. I don't have the exact figures. It might be slightly more, slightly less, whatever. But point being is that it went okay for the duration. So anyway, all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this. And if you're interested in learning more about how I'm able to do this, I actually have a program. It's called the P2P Formula. And it is insanely good value. I'm going to leave a link below. Feel free to check that out. It is the process that I use to pre-sell, whether it is a low-ticket masterclass or a high-ticket program, in order to basically get paid in advance of building stuff, which is pretty cool, right? So it has all the funnels, has all the templates you ever need, has every mistake that I've made going through this process and how to avoid those. And more importantly, it just plain old works, and it's absolutely incredible. So if you're a coach, you're looking at launching your own low ticket masterclass and ascending to your high ticket, or you're looking at using this framework in order to create your own high ticket offer, or you are an affiliate and you feel like the time has come for you to finally step aside and build your own stuff, and you want to master certain aspects of this and create digital products, comes with a fully done for you template, all the files and everything that you ever need. Check that out below. It's called P2P Formula. Anyway, enough of that. Right, my name's Jamie. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.